Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time this afternoon to attend our second volunteer town hall. My name is Marcy Marchuk, and I am the volunteer resource lead. We are here today to share with you important updates to current projects and exciting new developments and initiatives happening at Community Care Durham. If we could please go to the land acknowledgement. Thank you. Thank you very much. We would like to acknowledge that Community Care Durham is situated on the traditional and treaty territories of the nations covered under the Williams Treaties, including the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, Elderville First Nation, Hiawatha First Nation, Curve Lake First Nation, and the Chippewa nations of Georgina Island, Beausoleil, and Rama. We are thankful to be welcomed on these lands in friendship. Next slide, please. So here is the agenda for today's town hall. We will be covering the following topics: diversity, equity, and inclusion, One Connect, We Connect, CCD brand refresh, clients, staff, and volunteer survey, and then the volunteer engagement and recognition. At the end of the town hall, we will have 10 minutes for a Q&A, so please save your comments and questions for then. You are invited to type your questions in the chat during the presentation, and then they will be answered during the question segment. We will also be glad to accept verbal questions as well during that segment. So as a review, here are our strategic priorities. Through everything we do at Community Care Durham, we remain focused on our strategic priorities: enhancing client quality of life, investing in our people, championing healthy communities, and building for our future. Next slide, please. I will now turn it over to Anne, who is our DEI advocate and manager for personal support services. Take it away, Anne.
Thank you, Marcy. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ayan Mohammed, and I am CCD's DEI advocate. You can connect with me through my direct number shown on the presentation or the DEI email. Outside of DEI, I'm also the manager for personal support services. Next slide. So you may also wonder, what is DEI? Diversity, equity, and inclusion represents three fundamental values essential for fostering a fair and respectful environment. Diversity refers to the presence of different individuals with various backgrounds and perspectives such as race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, just to name a few. Equity, on the other hand, ensures that all individuals have access to the same opportunities, recognizing and addressing the historical and systemic barriers that are prevented for some groups from fully participating in society. Inclusion emphasizes the importance of welcoming and accepting individuals from different backgrounds, enabling them to engage openly and positively in safe spaces. With this in mind, understanding DEI as interconnected yet distinct concept is crucial for promoting inclusive environment. By actively embracing these values, organizations and communities can create a sense of belonging, ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to contribute meaningfully for discussions and decision-making processes. Next slide. Typically, I go to around the different hubs to meet and connect with everyone. During my recent visit to the Clarington hub, I met with several volunteers and was able to hear your stories. When I do meet with staff and volunteers, various themes have been brought to my attention. The need for disability awareness training and strategies to support clients who may use discriminatory language or struggle with diversity, such as accepting workers from various backgrounds or a particular race. Additionally, there has been a strong interest in educational trainings on mental health, disability, and anti-Black racism, along with resources for proper terminology. Upcoming this May, we'll be also hosting our disability awareness training coming out. So look out for more for that. Now, what is it? What's in it for the volunteers and impact? When I spoke with a few volunteers, it became quite evident that the stories they have shared brings a unique perspective within our organization. By listening to these voices, we ensure that every volunteer has brought stories from the volunteer lens. This approach is not only validates the efforts of volunteers, but also enriches our organization's ability to ensure the communities they serve and more effectively and compassionately. DEI initiatives we work on with Community Care Durham. At CCD, our DEI committee consists of office staff and frontline workers, where we meet monthly to discuss and implement initiatives promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. Currently, we are working on reviewing policies that embody inclusivity. We would like to expand our committee to include volunteers, clients, and caregivers. Your voices and lived experience are invaluable in helping us represent the community we serve. Hearing your stories fosters a deeper connection amongst volunteers and reinforces the important role you play in our mission. By validating these perspectives, we promote a culture of inclusivity where every volunteer feels empowered to share their thoughts. The culture ultimately leads to more innovative strategies that address the needs of our community to further strengthen our organizational impact. Your involvement will not only enhance your understanding, but also empower you to make positive environment and impact to your community. My vision is to see our community with various members of our committee making up those of clients, caregivers, and volunteers and staff. With that being said, we are looking for volunteers to join our committee. If you're interested in joining the DI committee or have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you. And next, I'll take it with James with OneConnect.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see so many people on the screen, given it's a lovely sunny day out there, and we've been waiting for days like this for probably 8 months. I don't know about you, but it's been a long, long winter. We met last time. We were talking a little bit about the work we've been doing at Community Care Durham, and I really do think it's a bit of an exciting time for the organization, which we'll go through. But one of the things that's been the focal point of my work, as well as members of the team, is developing on a concept called OneConnect. And we've had the privilege to present this work to a group of stakeholders as diverse as seniors, advocacy networks. We've been presenting to municipal councils in Ajax, Whitby, and Pickering. Had a chance to be in Port Perry and Uxbridge as well to meet with council members and committee members for age-friendly strategies in Uxbridge and Scugog. And we're also had a chance to present this to a community group in Clarington. And everywhere we go, we get just tremendous support for what we're proposing here through OneConnect. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about this with you, so you have a sense as to what we're up to. I think this is something you may have seen or you experience yourself as being caregivers to your family, your loved ones, or neighbors. But people who are living with frailty are often challenged to weave together a complex system of support across multiple providers with multiple, capacities, multiple eligibility criteria, multiple different resources. And that puts a tremendous amount of strain on caregivers and their clients. And what we see in particular in some of the areas, like in home care, there's a total lack of integration between health and wellness, or a person's home supports and their community supports. And many agencies see clients as transactions. They're simply a client that they go see for an hour, and that's all they do. They don't see the whole person. And when you look at these combinations of the stress on caregivers, the impacts of social isolation, the increasing chronicity of health conditions, sometimes lower socioeconomic issues like housing or income, put individuals at higher risk of losing their independence. And at Community Care Durham, our task is to support people's independence to live at home. Next slide. And it's fair to say that the system that we have created is not really working for Ontarians. As I tell people when I present this work, I don't think I've met anyone who has a LinkedIn page that says my career goal is to go to long-term care. Because no one puts that on their LinkedIn page saying that's my aspiration. People who are their health is faltering or their needs are increasing, even those people, 90% of them prefer to stay at home with the supports, and a very small number of people choose to go to long-term care, but they have no other option because there's no homework, there's no resources in the community. And in Durham Region, while we're a younger community by nature, we're aging quite rapidly because of the baby boomer generation. And over the next 10 years, we expect that population of older adults to increase by 38%. But as of today, there's over 2,300 Durham residents who are on a wait list for long-term care, and a third of those people are living alone. And as far as wait time is concerned, it's about 433 days for all priorities, but 578 average days for non-crisis placement. So these are people who have a long-term care preference. They've made a submission. Some people are waiting, if they're lucky, 2 to 3 years, but some people were waiting 6 to 7 years to go into a long-term care of their choice. Next slide. And one of the things that I mentioned earlier around the impacts of social isolation, chronic disease, social economic issues. What we're trying to change the dynamic here at Community Care Durham, our language is, when I walk into the community or when I listen to politicians or if I read the media, what we talk about is the rapidly aging population, as if somehow a disease has taken over the land and it's called aging. Aging is not a disease and it's not a diagnosis. Most people live quite well for the majority of their life and maybe until the final years of their life. The average age of our volunteer community is 63 years old. They're, by all intents, an aged population or seniors. We are not looking to address simply an age issue. We're looking to address a concept called frailty. And frailty is a complex, multidimensional aspect of looking at a person's health, physical health, their mental health, their if they have dementia or other cognitive or brain issues, and their social issues like the availability of caregivers, housing, can they afford food and medication? It's when those things come together is what creates frailty. And frailty can often be reversed. So if we address, for example, some of the income issues of our clients or of the community, they might be in a better place to afford their medications as well as afford good food. If we can address the mental health issues, we might be able to help them with their motivation to get active and be physical and to move and to be social. And in Durham Region, there are 27,000 older adults who are living with this complex called frailty. So that is what this program is designed for. It's not designed for people who are an aging population, because that would be a lot of people. We're actually talking about people living with these complex issues. I'm sure you have come across them in your daily actions as volunteers. Next slide. What we've been proposing is a program called One Connect, and it's based off an American model in the United States called PACE, or the Program for the All-Inclusive Care of the Elderly. And what that program does, and what One Connect intends to do, is to create a single program with a single budget and a single care coordinator, so that a person enrolled in the program has access seamlessly to home support, nursing support, healthcare, access to a community pharmacy, access to falls, exercise, occupational therapy, and other physical areas of therapy, and participation in our day program, drives to medical appointments and to the day program, food security, and mental well-being. And while we provide most of those services today at Community Care Durham, they're all siloed by their unique funding requirements and their unique funding criteria and their unique eligibility criteria. So while we have worked hard to eliminate those silos within CCD through many of our initiatives like modernization and now AlayaCare, we still are butting against them. And so this concept here is to roll those programs into a single program. So when a person is not just getting home care, we're bringing them out of the home to socialize with members of the community. There's also combined within this plan a $4,000 social prescribing budget for each client. And that would be for anything that might help them, such as a new bed or hospital bed in the home, or help with their medication costs. Because if and we've been doing this, by the way, for clients who are stuck in the hospital and can't get home, we have a fund that we're able to, let's just say, grease the wheels to rid those barriers so people can get home. It might be help with their rent for a month, it might be help with transportation, and we can get them settled. So One Connect, it looks really simple. There's nothing really scientific about it, but what it is actually it's how we bring those services together, which makes them innovative. And truthfully, it would be the first of its kind in Ontario. So this is a made in CCD, made in Durham solution, which we are proposing with the government to start here and spread. Next slide. We feel like we're very positioned, we're very well positioned to do this. I know a lot of organizations in the community support services world who offer one or two of the types of services that we provide, or they provide just home care and no community supports. And Community Care Durham, we are benefiting from having a wide range of programs available to us. But we've also been innovative. So we started our nursing program 3 years ago. We had difficulty and finally landed one or two solid community nurses. And today, Jennifer tells me we have 13 our registered practice RPNs working for Community Care Durham who are addressing the health needs alongside other workers, whether it be recreationists in the day program or social work, personal support workers in the home. We've been doing a hospital to home program for Lake Ridge Health, Oshawa and Bowmanville, 7 days a week, where the team, Ian and Jennifer and Crystal and all the team involved, we're taking clients home out of the emerge on the same day they present and providing them with settlement service and 4 weeks of care while we develop a sustainable solution for them. And I believe we're about 260 people who we've taken out of the hospital since October of last year. We've really helped the hospital keep the beds available for people who actually need to have the beds. And we've built this business architecture that allows us to scale our work and measure it and report on it. But I think most importantly, it's just we have a team that's absolutely committed to holistic integrated care. And every member of the staff who I have shared this with and we've talked to, and they've been a part We've had staff and clients a part of our design work on this. They're absolutely committed to making this happen. Next slide. It ties in with what we have planned in Whitby. You may have heard or remembered from our last presentation that we are moving forward with the renovation at Sunray to develop a home away from home environment, or more technically, a health and community health and wellness center. But in our new program, and we're just in the phases now of going through the design elements with our hired architect and firm, such that we'll be moving towards construction and renovation at the very end or early at the beginning of next year, so that we're opening up the site in the fall of 2026. But we will have an expanded day program that will serve, we anticipate, twice the number of clients we're serving now, as well as having on site and location access to personal care. So there'll be a foot clinic, a hair salon, there'll be nursing stations, there'll be an area for caregivers, and we'll be able to bring in visiting other health professionals, like perhaps someone who does hearing or vision tests, so we can actually test and support clients when they come into our program. They can see a team all on one day. Next slide. We are not, I will tell you that our proposal for OneConnect, we're shooting to get funding for 150 clients. And that 150 represents the alternative to building a new long-term care home. So what we're advising the government is, instead of building yet another new long-term care home, let's build long-term care capacity in the community without building any more structures. And we believe this is an area, like, it's not about a building, it's not about a wellness center, it's about a philosophy of care that's focused on the entire needs of an individual. And we hope to do this across Durham, and Whitby is just the start. I will also say, and we met with the Minister of Finance prior to the election being dropped, and you know, our program costs the Ontario taxpayer $90 a day versus what the alternative in a long-term care home would be, which would be at least $201 a day. More likely, the estimate's around $250 a day. So for the taxpayer, it's much more cost effective, and for the client, it's what they would prefer. Next slide. So we've been, as I said, engaging local municipalities. We've had fantastic response from the communities of Pickering, Whitby, and Ajax. We've had great response from Uxbridge and Scugog. We've met with MPPs from across the region. We've received letters of support from a number of different committees or organizations, as well as Lakeridge Health. And we're moving forward with a business case to Ontario Health for funding. And we may be coming back to you in the next little while to help us to, we started a pledge campaign during the last provincial election. We really believe we need to get members of the community behind our proposal, because this really is a grassroots effort. And I think that's it for me for now. And I'm going to turn it over to Laura on WeConnect.
Thank you, James. So I'm Laura Andretola, and I'm the Director of Community Support Services. And I'm going to be talking today a little bit about WeConnect Mental Health and Wellness, formerly known as COPE Mental Health. So you can go to the next slide. So we were called COPE, which was Creating Opportunities for Personal Excellence. And we always felt like that name really didn't fit with what we did for a couple reasons. First, nobody knew what the heck it stood for, ever. We always had to explain it. But even when we did explain it, it didn't really fit with what we do. And the second is that it really delivers like an outcome. You can come here to cope, right? Which isn't the case. A lot of people come here to thrive as well. So we didn't want to set a limitation with our name. So we just started to explore, what that could look like. And as you can see, we did eventually find a name that we felt fit a little bit better with what we do. So we also found that our visual identity resonated largely with older adults, but we also wanted to make sure that we were speaking to the younger demographic. And so they felt like our organization, our program was a good fit for them. And then the last piece was that our program can be a great entry point for mental health and wellness services. And that wellness piece was always kind of missing in who we were and how we put ourselves out to the community. We offer some really great mental health support groups, but over the last about 5 years, we've really been building the wellness portion of our program. So about 5 years ago, we had 4 workshops, wellness workshops, and today we have over 25 that we offer each year in addition to other wellness services. But why that's grown so much is because that's what we've been hearing from our community. They want to learn, they want to gain those practical coping strategies. They want to know not only, to talk about their mental health and learn about their mental health, but what are some other areas of life that really play into our mental health? So that's really where this wellness side started to grow. So you can go to the next slide. So we, of course, hope to be a little bit more inclusive and appealing to younger adults. So within that 16 to 40 age bracket. Also those without a formal mental health diagnoses who are seeking that wellness support. So you don't have to, go to a physician or a psychiatrist, get that formal diagnosis to access our services. It may be folks who are just identifying, hey, I'm really struggling here. I'm experiencing this symptom, or I'm not, I feel like I'm not thriving in this area. We can be a great entry point for those folks who can come to us, learn a little bit more, try out different areas and really see what can work for them. And then also individuals who are just focused on maintenance and prevention. So you don't necessarily need to have an ongoing issue or crisis to cause you to reach out for support. You can come to us when you're doing okay, but you want to make sure that you stay okay. So we really wanted to focus on these 3 areas and make sure that they felt like there's a place here for them. So you can go to the next slide. So ta-da, we connect mental health and wellness. I know we sent out a whole bunch of information to share that we changed our name, but this may be news for some. And so we changed, of course, our full name. So from COPE to We Connect, which we felt really kind of spoke to what we do a little bit better. We connect, right? We bring people together to connect, to talk about their experience, to share, to build a community. And that's where we felt like we really shined, was in our ability to bring people together in our group services. We also changed or just added and wellness at the end of our name. So we used to be COPE Mental Health. That was the end of it. So now We Connect Mental Health and Wellness, because we want to make it clear that we do have those wellness services, and it's not only for those who have a mental health diagnosis. Sorry, I'm not reading my slide at all. Let me go back. What am I missing here? Okay, so we also, our communications department created beautiful new brand templates for what it was going to look like. Oh, and sorry, I do want to talk about the icon because I think it's, hopefully it kind of speaks for itself, but I want to point it out. So why we chose that icon was hopefully you can see the individual in blue. So that's the person coming to our program. And it looks like kind of a halo of green, which, symbolizes growth, but also that green is connected to the head in the center, which indicates other people. So that group support. So hopefully you can see a couple different meanings in that icon where it indicates that group support, but also you're coming here to grow. And that's why we chose this icon. So back to the visual template. So our communications department did a really great job putting some things together for our program to hopefully speak to the audiences that we are looking to connect with. And you'll see that I think it's on the next slide. And our whole team is really just trying to promote the new brand, get our word out there, get the new visuals out there so that those who maybe didn't have a place and felt like there wasn't a home for them, that they can hopefully see this and feel like, oh, this is a program that I can connect with and I can find, my place and get the support that I'm looking for. So these are just some examples. So we have, actually, I've got some physicals here too. We've got some lovely brochures, a flyer, which is kind of a 2-page. So it's got that lovely picture on the front with information on the back. Our webpage has been completely redone. We tried to put as much information as possible so people can get an idea of who we are and what we do. And just overall, we're trying to bring a kind of fresher, visual to our program to hopefully connect with other community members out there. So I think that's it. Is that the end of my slides here? Yes, okay. So I'm going to hand it back over to James for the CCD brand review and refresh.
Thanks, Laura.
Yeah.
Before I get into this, I want to share this photo here, and this is really important. This is what you'll see when you come into the office of Whitby, which is a new mural we've had painted on the wall, which is called Roots of Care. And the person standing next to the mural is Megan Lim, who's the artist. And Megan was chosen to put this mural together using inspiration that our staff drew at our appreciation event last year about why they chose to come and work in the community and why they chose this line of work. And we asked, we had such a tremendous response to that question. And we took all of those visuals and put it together to create this mural, which I hope if some of you are coming by the office in Whitby, you'll take a real close look at. But it is, as I said, called the Roots of Care. And it's just to remind staff and volunteers that when they come into the office, why did they choose this work? What were they there to do? And hopefully provide them with some daily inspiration. I'm going to move to the next slide. I will say, just as I listened to Laura and our conversation earlier, we're really, what I really like about what Laura said is we're trying to make ourselves accessible to a whole range of people. And we have clients from 16 years of age to 106 years of age. And we know there are many older adults who might not access our service because they think, I'm not ready for that yet. Like someone else needs it more than I do. And we know they need it. And we have people who are younger, who are older adults, who are caregivers to their children. And, I will tell you in some of the work I've done with Jennifer Hammond and others, we've gone out and made these presentations. The most compelling conversations I've had with people who come up to us afterwards to talk about when does this thing happen because we need it today, were women or caregivers who were in their late 80s, early 90s, looking after their children who were in their 50s and had no support. So it's not just they were looking for, because they were the caregivers at that age and they wanted to live their life as best they could. So we're not really focusing on this as an issue around age, but we want to make ourselves accessible to every part of our community. And the problem we took when we were looking at this brand exercise is what really, quite frankly, started the whole process was, what is Community Care Durham? And what does it do? And oftentimes people confused us with other community organizations like Community Living or Health and Community Support Services. They didn't know what we did, and our name didn't always tell people what, who we were and what we did, and they're confused. The other problem we're trying to solve is that people have lost that sense of support. When I think about where volunteerism started in the Community Care Durham, the roots of the organization came from the community. It came from social activism of our volunteers who came together to start doing Meals on Wheels and friendly visiting before there was even a CCD. And in many respects, while that support's still there, the truth of the matter is much of that community fabric has dissipated since 1977. It doesn't exist in the same way as it did there. And so in many ways, we now as an organization that kind of grew out of the community are now creating the community to help people connect. We have a population that's growing with increasingly stretched thin resources. We have people feeling isolated and overwhelmed. And I think I've told you this before, like social isolation and loneliness is a bigger health risk than alcohol and smoking. It's because usually those things happen when you're lonely. And people are losing a trust in the system when they need it the most. People need community when they need it the most. And it's not just older people, as Laura had mentioned, how many people do we know that are young, like whether it's our children, our grandchildren, our friends' children, who are connected through social media every single day through their phone. So they've never been lonelier because they don't have community. Next slide. So we began a work which was funded through a Trillium grant that we received to ask some pretty bold questions. And as the CEO, I was very cautious before I would ever, I never thought we even asked this question. Frankly, I thought never in a lifetime will I ever ask this question, but I figured it was time that we asked it. And the question was, what do people think about when they think of Community Care Durham? Do people even know who we are? And does what we do today reflect how we brand or present ourselves in the community? The second phase was to look at, well, if that's working, great. If it's not working, what are our options? And the third phase was, once we choose what that option is, how do we get out to the community and share more of it? So phase one led to a conclusion and said, do we think about different brands? And yes or no? And then if it's yes, then how do we market that? If the answer is no, how do we market the Community Care Durham differently? Next slide. What was really fascinating from this whole exercise was us getting down to who is it that we serve? Who are the people who we need to get our message to? And it turns out that there's really 3 groups. And I think this division here will really inform our next strategic plan and our overall strategic thinking. I can tell you it's already changed some of my thinking. The first is people who are living in our community with chronic complex needs. That's the frail community that I mentioned through One Connect. We see them in our day program. We see them in our assisted living program, in our respite services, and our transportation services. When you think about now the day program, we have clients who, many of them, almost the majority of them, are dealing with some cognitive issue or dementia. They have now medical issues that we never saw before, and they're now in our care. So we have to change the way we serve that community in our own program. Then there are people like We Connect who are doing quite well, but they just need a little bit of support. They need to connect with their community. You know, their blood pressure is fine, they're getting out and exercising, but they want to meet members of their community through a lunch and out program, or they want to be staying physically active through exercise and calls. They're just looking for some support, and they're looking to connect to their community. And the third audience are the people who are our colleagues. They're our allies in helping promote health and wellness in our community. And they can be elected officials, they can be funders, and they can be other partners like the hospital or primary care physicians. And so we started to develop key messages for each of these particular audiences. Next slide. And these are them. So just simple things. We, when you look at these, I'll give you an example of the individuals living with chronic and complex needs. One of our key messages we want to tell our communities, you're not alone. And we're here for you when you need us. What matters to you matters to us. And let us help you. It sounds so simple, but we have clients in our assisted living program, I know Ian's on the phone, who are living at home with little support, who think, oh, I don't need a nurse, I'm fine. But they need a lot of help. They need mental health work. And this is why now we've hired a social worker who would love to introduce to you at some point in time, because they're not looking to get help, but they need the help. And we're here to tell them we can help you. And we have similar messages for each of those audiences. Next slide. So if we go back for one moment, because I think I'm missing a little bit of context. I sent it to you in the message that came out from Rachel. I think I can't remember which member of the team sent that out this past week. Rosanna can remind me. When we got to the process of assessing our brand, truthfully, we were not hitting the mark. CCD was not reflective of who we were, and our community had changed around us. And there was still significant brand, thank you, Megan. Still significant brand confusion. We have individuals who have multiple organizations coming into their home, and they have no idea what organization they're from. And I see this in our client reports where I've received calls from clients saying they're angry with the worker that came in home, and I realized that's not even our staff, it's another organization staff. So we have made the decision as an organization to rebrand ourselves effective April 1 next year. And it was not a decision we took lightly, because we have a significant amount of homage and respect for the legacy that we've left of 48 years of being Community Care Durham. But we're now focusing on where that future is going to take us. So as I mentioned to you in our message that just came out recently, we will be moving forward with a name change come April of 2026. Feels like new turf for us. Now, there may be lots of questions on that later, but I'm going to turn it over to Rosanna, and she's going to talk about our surveys if she can.
Thank you, James. I was actually hoping you would follow up with the client and care partner, and I'll take over the staff and volunteer.
I'm happy to do that.
Thank you.
I thought people might be just tired of me talking for a while.
Not at all.
All right. As you may know, every year we survey our clients, our care partners, our staff, and our volunteers. So we're going to give you highlights of each of those results. I won't steal the thunder, but we were really ecstatic about the results we got for all three this year. And I'll show you why. But our overall satisfaction from care partners and clients is 95%, which is truly phenomenal. We have people now recommending Community Care Durham. It went from 88% in 2023-24 to now 97%. So people, we've earned some trust back. We've earned that respect back. And in every category, we saw an improvement in our results from clients and from care partners. So what did we do? I can tell you what we did is we sat down as a management team and said, we need to do better because we're not doing as well as we should be. And we developed a work plan to address some of the pain points that we heard from clients. Next slide. And a big pain point was how much time they were spending on the phone when they called us. You'll see from this data here that the average wait time in March of 24 actually, so it's 2023-24, little typo, was 7 minutes. That actually masks a more ugly number, which is what we call the 90th percentile, which is if you were to look at a lineup of 10 people, how long would the ninth person wait to get a caller on the phone? And that wait time was 24 minutes that a person was waiting to get to speak to one of our staff. That was just unacceptable. People were hanging up, they were frustrated, they were calling back, they were angry, they were wondering if anyone was there. And the truth is we were just not getting to them as we should have been. So you can see that over a period of since the beginning of April, when we launched this effort, we have driven that number down to where it is today, which is about a half a minute on an average wait time. And for the 90th percentile, that ninth person out of 10 in line, it's around 3 to 4 minutes now. When people call us, they should expect to get someone to talk to, and they shouldn't have to wait for very long. This was a major pain point for our clients and our care partners. Next slide. I will say another area that we saw some improvement and we're working on is transportation. We're not there yet, but we've made some improvements. And the other area we focused was to create and expand our hours of care. So we've piloted with the assisted, with foot care on the weekends in Whitby, and we're seeing a great response to that. So we will continue to expand our programs into the weekend so we can provide more support for our community. We were really interested in measuring how people are feeling connected to the community through our programs. And as you can see, in 2023, about 58% of our clients said that being associated with CCD has given them a sense of community. And that improved again next year, where 62% said that they have a stronger sense of community being at CCD. And I think that's really what it's all about. We want people to feel like this is their home, and we want people to feel that they're supported here. Next slide. So now, Rosanna, now it's your turn.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Rosanna Keys, VP of Human Capital, and I will just speak a little bit about our staff and volunteer surveys that we completed in 2024. So the overall results for the staff survey, as James has mentioned, is also very positive. And we're very pleased to say that from last year, we had an increase in the response from staff recommending CCD as a place for employment from 73% to 80%, which is a great number. As well, 80% of employees reported that they felt that they had the tools and the resources to do their job. And this was an increase from 66% from the previous year. As well, 95% of employees are reporting that they're feeling engaged in their work. And again, an increase of 88% from the previous year. So again, great numbers. Next slide. So the volunteer survey. This was held towards the end of last year, November and December. We had a total of 126 responses, again, an increase from the previous year, and an overall response rate of 22% and an average of 96% positivity rate, which is exceptional. And again, recommending CCD as a place of volunteering was an increase from the previous year of 89% to 97%. Next slide. So the basic questions that were asked were basically the contributing to the mission, vision, and values, the volunteering experience at Community Care Durham. How does volunteering contribute to you feeling personally happier and healthier, feeling physically safe, emotionally safe, accepted and respected, and again, recommending CCD as a place to volunteer. You can see those numbers are really high, and we're very proud with those results. Next slide. So again, you can see over the last 3 years, the increase from the light blue to the orange in the overall positivity rates. Again, those key areas of the mission, vision, values, the volunteer experience, the feeling of emotional safety, physical safety, and again, recommending CCD as a place to volunteer. So we had also asked other questions. Why volunteer? And you can see the top response is that it brings me joy and wellness, followed by feeling more connected to the community, paying it forward, and giving back to the community and helping out with family members and friends. And the 96% of respondents agreed that volunteering at CCD makes them feel personally happier and healthier. Next slide. So the overall themes, again, some of the comments that we took away from the feedback from our volunteers was that they were feeling valued, respected, and safe. Volunteering is rewarding and there's flexible options to choose from. Proud to be part of CCD. Again, a good way to help those in the community and an opportunity to share and give back and get to know people. Next slide, great. So what we've done over the last little while, and Megan will actually get into more detail as to what we're going to do going forward. But what we've actually done is really coordinated the efforts with our teams of volunteer coordinators and our volunteer resource team to really provide that support to our volunteers at the local hubs. We also have introduced the volunteer newsletter, lunch and learn series, the volunteer town halls, and again, social engagements, which were a big hit over the last few months. which was the pizza and trivia night and bowling night. Next slide. So this is back over to you, James, I believe.
Great. I love the photos here because they're actually of our clients, and this is from our CCD walk. And I'm pretty close with the caregiver for this particular client, and he tells me all the time about how his mom has benefited from being a part of CCD, and she's enrolled in many of our programs, and now is being supported by one of our nurses. So like I love seeing these photos because they bring it back to who it is we serve. So next slide, please. So I think we shared this slide with you last time, and we're still, we're navigating the change in this world as all of you are. But we have a very clear sense of what our direction is, and it's to really strengthen the mission and vision of Community Care Durham through new ways, whether it be through new programs or through new resources or through new messaging to get the word out into the community. As I just said too, I was so happy we had our client family advisory committee meeting on I think it was Monday. And I do, by the way, I lose track of days sometimes because it's just one meeting after another. And we introduced our new social worker who's now working with our staff through our day program and our personal support work, PSS services. And I just think it was just exciting to see that we're bringing more resources into our programs to help people who we serve. So the direction is getting clear, and our staff are feeling this too. We had a fantastic town hall with them about a month ago where we shared much of what we're sharing with you now, and not all the detail. You're getting a bit more on the surveys, but staff feel really excited about the direction we're going in, and feeling that there's a lot of positive change, which is fantastic because we've had some really difficult years of just change. Next slide. So I'm going to turn it over to kind of let Marcy kind of tell you what's up with the volunteer program.
It will actually be me, James. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's all right. Hi, everyone. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Megan Goddard, and I am the Volunteer Resource Coordinator here at Community Care Durham. I'm very excited to share an overview of our newly launched Experience Plus recognition program, which officially went live on April 1st, as you may have seen through some email communications in our various newsletters. So over the next few minutes, I will walk you through what the Experience Plus program is, who it benefits, and how to apply. So what exactly is Experience Plus? At its core, Experience Plus is a volunteer recognition program with a simple but important goal, which is to recognize the valuable experience and skills that our volunteers develop throughout their roles here. We know that volunteering isn't always just about giving your time, although it is important. It can also be about gaining real transferable skills that deserve to be seen as relevant and meaningful work experience. So with Experience Plus, we're helping our volunteers identify and articulate the skills they've developed, whether that's communication, leadership, organization, or just general knowledge, so that they can confidently apply those skills to future opportunities, whether that be personal, academic, or professional. Next slide, please. This program offers recognition in the form of a digital certificate, which is designed to support volunteers in highlighting the various tasks they've completed and the skills they've developed through those tasks. So if you're seeking employment, these certificates can be a great way to highlight the transferable skills you've built through volunteering. If you are a newcomer to Canada, they can serve to support your transition into the Canadian workforce. They're also a great tool for students who may be building out their resumes and looking for ways to demonstrate real-world experience. And of course, for our longtime volunteers, this is simply just a meaningful way to acknowledge the time, energy, and impact you've made over the years. Next slide, please. Now we can chat about who can apply for a volunteer recognition certificate. Eligibility is based on demonstrated competencies and contributions, not just simply time served. However, that said, there are a few baseline requirements that our volunteers need to meet to qualify. So first, there is a minimum service requirement, which is a minimum of 25 volunteer hours, as well as a minimum 3 months of active service. Our volunteers must also be in good standing, which means they have to adhere to all relevant policies and procedures. We also require supervisor approval along with verified records of service so that we can confidently recognize each person's contributions. And of course, if the role requires specific training, such as our WeConnect program or transportation, for example, that needs to be completed as well. So the goal here is just to ensure that recognition is both meaningful and earned, something that our volunteers can be truly proud of. So how does it all work? The process is quite simple and straightforward, and it starts with step 1, which is completing the Experience Plus application form. So this is where volunteers reflect on their experience and skills that they've developed throughout their role. Step 2 is to submit this form to their volunteer coordinator, who will guide with next steps. On the next slide, we will outline who those volunteer coordinators are for you. From step 3, it involves an application review, which is where we take a closer look at our volunteer service duration, contributions, training, and overall standing. And finally, in step 4, we share the status decision with you, indicating whether or not the application has been approved. Next slide, please. So if you are interested in applying or would simply just like to learn more about this program, the best place to start is with your local volunteer coordinator. So each Community Care Durham location has a dedicated contact who can support you through the application process and answer any questions you may have. I'm sure many of you have already received lots of communications from your volunteer coordinators, but just as a friendly reminder, on this slide, you will see a list of our various locations, along with the name of the designated volunteer coordinator for each one. So please don't hesitate to reach out to the person listed for your area. They're here to help, and they are very excited to support you in being recognized for all the incredible work that you do. So that brings us to the end of this Experience Plus overview. We are really proud of the thought and care that's gone into creating this program, and we're even more excited about what it could mean for our volunteers, which is just a chance to reflect on your impact, celebrate your growth, and have your contributions be recognized in a meaningful way. So with that, I will pass it back over to my colleague Marcy, who will be sharing some exciting information on our upcoming volunteer appreciation events, which begin this week. Over to you, Marcy.
Thank you. Thank you, Megan, and thank you for spearheading this new volunteer recognition program. We look so forward to this time of year where we can, welcome this opportunity to recognize our wonderful volunteers. So I will provide some details into the upcoming volunteer appreciation events. Next slide, please. So each year, in celebrating National Volunteer Week, we also celebrate our dedicated volunteers by hosting these volunteer appreciation events. And this year, Volunteer Canada has announced April 27th to May 3rd this week as National Volunteer Week. And in acknowledging this National Volunteer Week, we come together to recognize and celebrate all the ways our volunteers create ripples of change. Next slide, please. And that is our theme for this year's event. Every community care volunteer's contributions create a ripple effect. So inspiring others and driving positive change. These volunteer events create an opportunity to highlight the value of our volunteers and the positive impact they make on our community. So together, we create a movement of change, one ripple at a time. Next slide, please. So in organizing these events, here are the dates and locations. As Megan mentioned, we are starting this week on Friday, May 2nd, hosting our North Durham event at the Sutherland Royal Canadian Legion. Next Tuesday, we are going to be in Bowmanville, celebrating our our volunteers in Clarington at the Garnet B. Rickards Recreation Complex. And for the Oshawa Whitby event on Thursday, May 22nd, we will be hosting the volunteer event at the Ability Center. And last but not least, on Wednesday, May the 28th, we will be celebrating our Ajax Pickering volunteers once again at the McLean Community Center. And with each event, we will be serving a buffet-style lunch catered through Pantry Shelf and announcing the names of volunteers who are celebrating their milestone years through a really excellent award ceremony. Next slide, please. So that concludes our presentation. So we are now going to proceed with our Q&A. So if anyone has a question, you can use the chat function and type in your question, or you can simply raise your hand and one of our hosts will ask you to unmute yourself to speak. We are happy to answer your questions, and you can also direct your questions to volunteer@communitycaredurham.on.ca. So who has a question or a comment or feedback?
I'd like to make a comment.
Thank you, Keith. How are you doing today?
I'm doing terrific. When I was on the board, when I first started on the board, I questioned the whole COPE thing. Like, what is this? I mean, I understood the program, but not the word. And then there was a contest to put some meaning to it, which they came up with what they did. Anyway, I'm so pleased to see it change. The words for me have always been people survive their life or they cope with their life. But really what you want people to do is to manage their lives. And We Connect will certainly focus on that kind of thing instead of on the positives instead of a struggle. It's terrific. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Keith, for your comments. Anyone else have something to share?
Yep, turn the mic.
John.
Yeah, this is John Wallace. I have a problem with the word frailty. I don't think that that's appropriate to be used in a situation like ours. For one thing, it might discourage people that don't consider themselves to be frail, but still need assistance. So I would strongly advise not using the term frailty.
Can I take that question? I hear what you're saying, and unfortunately your face disappeared from the screen.
Back there.
Yeah, I hope you're doing well, by the way.
Yes.
We're careful not to describe people as frail. It's the word we use is people living with frailty, not people who are frail. So it's very careful. We don't call people frail, which is that they're living with frailty.
Yeah.
I know that word, we've had mixed results from it from a number of areas as well. But I can tell you, I also get mixed results when I say about seniors. Like, people don't always like that word either. The word comes from the RGPs, the Regional Geriatric Programs of Ontario. So it's not something we created. It's a concept in our health and wellness space. So we certainly won't be using that to describe the program. This is a program for frail people, or it's people who are living with frailty, but we're going to use the word One Connect. But I appreciate the sensitivities that you raised. We don't like to label people here either, and I don't want to, we're just talking about the conditions that we're trying to address, not the people.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, another thing, I hope the new branding will include the fact that it's Durham and not leave it open.
Yeah.
This is an initiative of the Durham region, and I think it should be reflected in the name of this service.
Yeah, Durham will stay a part of the new brand. The only thing that you will see what we've dropped, and just to give you a little bit of heads up, we've dropped the word care out of any name. It's because in speaking with, to your point around frailty, and some of the client and care partner representatives on our team, they also find the word care to be a bit pejorative because people are looking for support, not care. And so we will maintain Durham in the future name. You'll see it as it'll be a part of the name, but we'll be using other terms rather than care. When I have a chance, like our board just approved this. It's been about a month now. What I hope to do is have a couple of focus groups with volunteers and staff just to test out some of the tools that we have to kind of get some feedback as before we go, public with it. But we'll be coming back to this committee for some members who might be interested in participating in a focus group with me and a couple of other people to give us some advice on how to get this program rolled out. Maybe you'll be one of those volunteers for us.
Sign me up.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much for your comments, and thank you, Jane, for that explanation. Any other questions or
Yeah, I have a
comments?
question. Go ahead. Yes.
Go ahead,
I,
please.
Go ahead, Doc. I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I talk to people we know and people, friends and acquaintances, and Community Care Durham is well recognized. I mean, as soon as you say community care, people know it. Meals on Wheels kind of speaks for itself and people know it. But then when you talk to them more and you try to explain that that's only one program under community care and all the other things that are offered, people go, really? I didn't know that. So I'm wondering what can be done to get more education to the general population. It's like we know, but there's still a lot of people don't know, and they don't know where to go to get to know more information.
Mhm.
Like, I'm sure there's a lot more could be done to promote within the community.
Yeah.
That's
That's
it.
such a good point. I'd be happy to take that on, Garth. Part of our problem is Community Care Durham, because there are so many other community living or so we tend to get mixed up with what makes you different than. But the other area is that people know us for Meals on Wheels, and when I make public presentations and I share with them the diversity of programs that we offer, they have to your point, Garth, they have no idea, and they're like, well, how come we didn't know this? So a part of our branding work is we have a marketing strategy that was a part of the work we did with this grant that we received, how to get the word out. And the other area is how do we get out the word to the newer people moving into Durham, because there's many people who they're first generation here. So how do we get the word out to them? We're also, Garth, doing a lot of speaking tours. So wherever we're invited, we go to the Rotary clubs, we go to other church groups. That's where I was in Bowmanville. I was meeting with a church group there to kind of give them some insights to what was happening. So if you have a venue in which you think we can bring our message to, can you let me or one of the community coordinators know so we can perhaps follow up with them? Because we do have to get out there, Garth, and we're making every effort to do that. But to your point, the messaging needs to be refreshed. I think the other part that's exciting is the diversity of the programs we offer now and the diversity of people we serve is so extensive that it's almost like we've become a best kept secret in Durham. And I know Keith was at the Ajax council meeting, and Keith has been with the organization somehow or some way for a long time. But every time I go to a council meeting and I present to counselors about what we do at Community Care Durham, they don't even know. They seem to have forgotten because they just do the Meals on Wheels or transportation. So it's been a very positive response the more we get out there.
Thank you.
James, I have a question for you.
Yeah, Nancy.
We have a soup supper at our church on Saturday night. And we have many people in the community that come. It's not just for seniors. And last week they were talking about this food box that you get through community care. And one of the coordinators know that Garth and I volunteer for Community Care Durham.
Mhm.
And her comment was, well, I didn't know anything about it. And she said, do you promote community care? And I said, yes, we do. They know that we do meals on Monday. And they know that we have what do they call that thing around your neck?
Oh,
Yeah.
we're identification.
Identification.
Badges, yeah.
And we know we're not to wear it after we finish with meals. We know that. But the thing is, they have seen me with a blue shirt on, and the first thing they say, oh, you got your community care shirt on.
Yeah.
But the one thing that they wanted to know more about was the food box that, like when I was yesterday at the office getting my toenails down, I was looking at the thing in front of me, the desk, and there was something about a food box. Now, I know the lady that does the soup dinner at our church, she would really be interested to know how to go about incorporating, giving community care acknowledgement that you have this offer, that you do offer that. But it would be good for her to tell her clients that they do have that service, and that would be helpful for both.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
that's what I'm saying, like, we have that group at our church on Saturday night, but a lot of them don't know that there's something like that. The people that we volunteer with, they know that Garth and I volunteer for community care.
Nancy and Garth, where are you? Like, where's your home?
We're in Clarington, Bowmanville.
Okay,
Bowmanville.
so I can ask Marcy and Megan if we just make a note of this, and then we can loop back to you, and maybe we can get you some brochures or someone to come out and talk about the food box and the meals program.
Yeah,
That would be interesting.
that would be interesting.
Because sometimes I think just promoting in the community, it can be even just old school, printing up flyers and posting them around town at various venues.
Yeah.
When I'm in the Clarington Library and places like that,
there's nothing there.
they have bulletin boards and you're free to post up information. So it doesn't have to be a big budget thing.
Yeah.
And the other idea is this coming Saturday is Maple Fest, as you may know, in Bowmanville. And I'm wondering if an idea with community care to have a little information booth.
And let people know.
It's something to think about in the future at some of the events.
Will do, Garth. Thank you, Nancy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy and Garth. I have noted that down, and Community Care Durham, we have had a booth in the past at Maple Fest.
Oh,
So
good.
thank you for your ideas. I really appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
We have a comment in the chat by Jan. I like One Connect. Could you also include We Care? So it's just a comment, some feedback from Jan.
Jan, can you describe what you mean by we care?
Is Jan still here?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, Jan.
Yes. We do care, like community care, it's always been, and I think to still incorporate we care because we do care about all our clients.
Yeah, right. That's a
So
great thing.
It really probably be, initiated in there somewhere.
Yeah. So that's going to be one of the key let's call it a tagline, Jan, that we're using in our new brand, or one which is like your point, we care, or we're here to, you know, nourish your like nourish your life. Like we've been going through different types of ways of describing exactly that, because it is about care. It's, you know, we don't provide care, but like in the sense of like a nursing care or like a care home, for example, but we provide care in the emotional sense. And
Well, that's what I'm getting at. Like we care about
yeah,
you personally. Like we're here to help you, and we care about you.
I'm glad you like One Connect, because we really like it too.
I do. And I still like the word care. I think that should be in there somewhere. We care.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you for your feedback. We greatly appreciate that. If there is no other questions or comments, we will conclude our volunteer town hall.